Okay, hello, good evening, good afternoon, wherever you are in the world, and welcome to the fourth edition now of the Sovereign Music Podcast. I'm your host, Nat Cole, and today I'm here joined with the rock star, right? Actually, definitely calls himself a rock star, right? Of one of the really great services and applications that is available within the Bitcoin space to allow artists to be able to connect with Bitcoin and receive earnings for their artistry. So I'm joined here today by the wonderful Tomek K, who I've done some stuff with as well previously on Twitter Spaces. If you want to, you can go back onto the Coin Scrum timeline and review last week Twitter space. That is last October, end of October's Twitter space. If you want to learn a little bit more about the Alby team and a direct deep there into some of the things that we've spoken about. So Tomek, please take it away. Introduce yourselves to the people.
Yeah, sure. Hey, Nat. Hey, everyone. I'm Tomek, and this wonderful service I represent today is Alby. You can see. Alby is open source company that developed multiple projects, multiple products in the last 3 years of its existence. The initial one and our flagship is browser extension, the Alby browser extension, that the goal of it is to bring Lightning and Nostr to the web. So you can use on your browsers Nostr, and you can also pay, receive sats, and participate in a digital Lightning economy when you browse the web without apps, but in your browser, so how most of us do. Plus many other products. Lately, we developed Alby Hub, another logo on the top here, which is open source self-custodial Lightning wallet with a full Lightning node in it, which is super easy and customizable, very easy to set up and to connect to various other apps. So Alby is one of the leading companies, groups that exists in the Lightning ecosystem. Almost everyone who uses Lightning Network heard about us or somehow uses us, even without maybe somehow without knowing that they use Alby, because we also develop some libraries for developers that makes it easier for software developers, whoever is building some apps on Bitcoin Lightning. They can use our libraries to just streamline their work and make things easy. So yeah, that's about Alby. I joined them a year ago. I do mostly marketing, but you know how it is in startups. We are small team, so you do everything. But my job is to be the interface to you guys, talk about it, and make a good PR for Alby. And I think we are doing a good job there. People love Alby, and they have reasons for that. I myself, I'm a Bitcoiner since few years already. I've been always a libertarian and freedom maximalist. So when Bitcoin emerged in our circles, it got under my radar. Of course, after some time, I didn't put that much attention and I forgot about it. But I knew that there is this tool, this internet money thing that some people use. Later, my knowledge, of course, expanded. My interest got closer, so I became Bitcoin advocate, and later I joined Alby, also helping with some other projects like Bitcoin Film Fest, which is also another angle that we can discuss here with you, because we build a community of filmmakers in Bitcoin space. And Alby is also a good tool for artists, because we make it so much easier for podcasters and for film producers to receive satoshis directly to their wallets with podcasting 2.0, as we call it, with some also video apps that allow direct communication and direct value appreciation between content creator and content consumer. So yeah, happy that you guys also touch this angle and you are quite widespread on the space, not just talking about software as many of us are used to, but there is also angle of well, as you say, or as you have on your hat, ordinals, so art, and also music. Your sovereign music project is also something that is very close to me. I myself also an amateur DJ, so also another reason that I'm happy to
and
be
that's
here
the
today.
thing. There's so much angles here, right? Like, and that's why I'm very excited for this episode, right? So, for those of you who are kind of joining for the first time and watching the Sovereign Music podcast, we speak a lot about technology has caught up in recent years and allowed artists to use a lot more technology themselves to access forms, to access earnings, to create their own platforms, and also to earn direct earnings. Right? So about how technology is empowering the artists, but obviously from the title of the podcast, Sovereign Music Podcast, we tend to focus on art, especially are using things like Bitcoin, right, where they're allowed to be able to move freely and do anything, including in the way that they get paid, right? So so just for those who are the first time watchers, you know, it a little bit technical. Some of the terms here that we talk about, you know, might be a little bit different from what you've heard, but there are projects like this Sovereign Music podcast. Alby doing great work. Wave Lake, you know, another platform that I've used and that many musicians are using, and then also what I'm doing with 140 Music Project in helping people to understand, you know, how these things can be connected together and how they can use them to empower themselves. So so running back a little bit into I think it's probably best to start really from that media and music angle, and then can go back into delving into how Alby helps with that a bit later on. So one of the things you mentioned was, again, the film fest, the Bitcoin Film Fest, right? And this is something that you basically started up as well yourself, and you tell us like a bit more about how that came about and what the mission is there.
It came about when I was. I'm organizing those Maxi meetups over here in Poland, in Warsaw, where I'm mostly located. And at one of these meetups, I met Pierre, who is also a Bitcoiner who lives in Poland. He's from France, and he made one of these quite popular in its time documentaries called The Great Reset. And we wanted to arrange a screening of his film. This didn't happen for some reasons with the venue, but we got a bit intoxicated that night with other Bitcoiners, so we were open for new ideas, and this one of this crazy intoxicated idea was, hey, we couldn't do one simple screening, so maybe let's go big and do a film festival, because we researched on our phones that there is more Bitcoin films and documentaries. Pierre is filmmaker. I'm professionally an event organizer. Have also some connections with the industry in Warsaw. So it was a good shot, and we thought, okay, let's do a film festival, and we organized one in 2023. There was a first edition of Bitcoin Film Fest. We researched what are the productions out there. We invited some filmmakers, and we made it. It was quite a success. With a very short notice, we concluded with 8 films. 4 of them were represented by its creators. We had over 100 guests. So we decided, okay, let's go full in and let's do it like every year, not just one shot. So the next year, last April, we organized the second edition, which was even larger. It was next to the European Halving Party. And the next one we are organizing is again at the last weekend of April in Warsaw, April 25th to 27th. And people were asking at the beginning, and also now they still do, well, there are Bitcoin films, guys, like that. There is like film festival. And we were also, to our surprise, there is not even more than one. There is few, and there is like more than few every year films that you can call Bitcoin films. that you can show. So it's not only about showing those films, and it's not only about this once a year event, but it's about building a community around filmmakers, producers, people working in industry, and also cinephiles, people who love watching films, to build some kind of our orange-pilled version of Hollywood, which might sound ambitious, but after all, when we imagine that Bitcoin is building this parallel society, and you can experience this with music, right? There is already a community of musicians who are participating in this value for value movement, and their mindset is Bitcoinized. Same thing is happening in the film. And I guess we both agree that culture is one of the most powerful medium for ideas. And if we dream of the world of freedom, honesty, built on sound money, it will not only come by nice infrastructure, nice developer libraries by Alby or other open source projects, or big funds and money coming into Bitcoin, but this hyper Bitcoinizations has to also be driven by cultural change, and movies being one of the most powerful and heavy and tools for propaganda. It's inevitable that we need to somehow, not only us, but the Bitcoiners need to somehow organize this movement within cinema as well. So there was idea for Bitcoin Film Fest. We don't do just festival once a year, but every week we are in touch with filmmakers. We are having our community newsletter promoting filmmakers' works on various Bitcoin events, conferences, and not Bitcoin as well. So it's a slow, steady job, but it's already bringing some fruition. Also over there in London, we arranged some gigs between filmmakers. So there is places to go. It's still slow. It's still, of course, not level of even some niche film festivals in the legacy industry, because Bitcoin is small. Bitcoin is only 15 years old. So, of course, Bitcoin films must be even younger and not so mature. You can see that on the production level, on the story level, that it's still early. But it also means that it's a good time to already think of some kind of not formalized, but institution that helps drive adoption of Bitcoin on this crucial level.
Yeah, definitely, and especially for the fact that, as you were saying just now, it's represented by the people using the technology, right? So rather than it being, obviously, I even watched a film last night, I think, that had, some references to crypto and Bitcoin in it, so it's becoming ever popular, ever since the first TV appearance, I think, was The Good Life, where they mentioned I bought $1 of Bitcoin or $100 of Bitcoin last night or something like that. I think the reference was, right. And that was, I think that was
2013. I think already had
I think it was, yeah. So like, it's very prominent. There's even, whole films, about crypto, or whole films about, Bitcoin or whatever. And some of them do. I remember there's a series I was watching. I can't remember what it was called now again. There's a series I was watching what was like, about a old girl starting this cryptocurrency, and it was similar to Bitcoin, and because it was so similar to Bitcoin, she had all these people after her trying to kill her, and so it's the whole thing, like, about the space itself, like from Bitcoin all the way through, has been represented so many times, but it's better, as you said, when it's represented by the people that are actually in the industry, the people that actually know, and the advocates of the use of Bitcoin, right? And then to go a step from that, you have the fact that with things like Alby, with things like the Lightning Network, Geyser Fund, right, as well, you're able to create a completely circular economy for films. and also a self-sustaining economy for films and filmmakers, right? Because you could, let's say, you know, as we've seen with Geyser before, people have set up crowdfunding on Geyser. Yeah, and for those who don't know, Geyser Fund is we'll have Mick on here, one of those as well, to talk about musicians funding. But Geyser Fund is like a funding platform that is Bitcoin on the Lightning Network. And you know, some filmmakers have put their films up to get their films funded on Geyser Fund, meaning they can get started their work, editing their work, publishing their work, and then, as you said, going all the way around to, you know, coming to something like the film, they could pay in Bitcoin, you know, and then also the people who are making the film also can receive some Bitcoin, and the people who are facilitating them can receive some Bitcoin as well. You know, so you have kind of like this fully circular economy, and not only circular for the fact of the use of the technology, but also, you know, going further afield in, as you said, the way that the film is marketed, right? You know, to the outside world, because it's not what we see with HBO the other day. You know, it's not let's pick one of the core developers and claim that they are Satoshi.
The documentary, yeah.
And make a documentary about it and put out loads of PR about it. You know, like us, it coming from inside the space is a lot more genuine and a lot more believable. You know, coming from.
But it will happen. You know, it's just the beginning that HBO is doing this. I guess big studios will eventually, probably they are already realizing that, you know, there is a big story unfolding with Bitcoin. And well, Satoshi mystery is a great foundation for a story, not only for I don't know, investigation or a documentary who was Satoshi, or let's try to find out, but also some fictional stories.
Yeah.
We have already in our group one filmmaker who is making an animated film, a cartoon, which is based on some kid in the future who discovers that his grandfather was Satoshi, and he found some multi-sig wallet, and he has to go in 7 places of the world to collect the keys and to access this great wealth. So it's a great base, great foundation for a story, and we know it because we often talk about these things. So this HBO thing is just the beginning. And it's also not only coming from that our side, organic Bitcoiners who are into filmmaking, and they decide, oh, let's make a film about Bitcoin. It's also not just films about Bitcoin, to mention, but also from the Hollywood, or I don't know, legacy industry side, because there are people out there, maybe not yet big studios and whole production team who can put out the movie, but a single actor or director or just regular person who gets orange pilled, as we like to call it, and eventually them would like not to work anymore for fiat industry, would like to make something aligned with Bitcoin values, not specifically maybe about Bitcoin, but aligned with the values. And this is what we often call Bitcoin films. So there will be more, and we also monitor such occurrences when, I don't know, there is some mention in Hollywood film about Bitcoin, or some of popular or not so popular filmmakers, I don't know, talks on Twitter about Bitcoin. We try to get in touch with them and facilitate that, you know, these people can eventually make maybe something on our side. So there is, we as Bitcoin Film Fest, we are kind of building bridges between this Hollywood legacy film industry and Bitcoiners, who are very often YouTubers making the short films about Bitcoin. There will be lots of things in between. As we Bitcoiners will get maybe more resources to unleash creative potential and create more videos, but also those filmmakers, legacy Hollywood, whatever, that will come to our orange side. So Bitcoin Film Fest is designed to build bridges, and we are discovering ways that we can facilitate this.
That is the beauty of it, is being, and this is kind of, I think, how I feel with the podcast, how I feel with 2140 Music, it's creating that bridge, because us who are we understand how valuable these bridges are going to be for people as they begin to discover Bitcoin and what's going. They won't have to be here a number of years like some of us were to really be able to get their head around going on, and obviously what's going on outside is not exactly turning them away from Bitcoin, so in the end of the day, it makes it much easier for these people to be able to get involved, and find their place. So,
but before we perhaps move to another topic, I'd like to come back to this mention that it's not just films about Bitcoin, because it might sound boring, and it often is a bit boring when you compare it to entertaining and engaging production, I don't know, comedies or drama series, gangster movies, etc. It's also Bitcoin films, as we like to call it, is capturing the cultural shift that comes with this Orange Revolution, right? Bitcoin film doesn't have to be just, let's make a story about Satoshi or about somebody who stole Bitcoin from somebody else and then how difficult. It's about, Bitcoin brings a cultural shift towards more individualism, more honesty, more autonomy, more maybe anti-system, enlightened view on the world, right? And with it comes lots of potential stories, potential scenarios, and those scenarios, those stories also were created even before Bitcoin. And the flagship example of it is Matrix, right? That many people like to call that it's a Bitcoin film, even though it was created before Bitcoin, because it somehow brings those type of view on the world and is aligned with Bitcoin values. So we like to say that, okay, Bitcoin films is not and doesn't have to be just films about Bitcoin, but it's whole category of narration that doesn't fit into this fiat culture that captured the cinema today. So we hope that this movement will bring whole new
style of direction,
paradigm of looking at the world, right? As Bitcoin does. So hopefully, there will be more Bitcoin films which are not only about Bitcoin. Currently, they are. Currently, most of the films that we see in our space are about Bitcoin. Most of them are documentaries, but it's normal. Since Bitcoin is only 15 years, Bitcoin cinema is even younger. So, of course, it will start with that. The first Bitcoin film, let's say, a film about Bitcoin was a video tutorial, if you can call it a film, how to buy it, click here, do there, hello, this is Bitcoin, right? And there is, we developed it through documentaries about Salvador, through documentaries about some kid in Africa who used Bitcoin for certain purposes, through some fictional stories. Oh yeah, there is still Bitcoin, and let's do a crime story, but with Bitcoin as a main theme. And we are evolving. This space is evolving now, and it will only go more into this fictional narrations where Bitcoin is not a main theme, but it's an ether. It's an environment in which the world is being told.
The ethos of the space. Of Bitcoin exists within the direction and the screenwriting, and you just kind of like through and whoever's watching, like maybe you run with this idea, right? But just as you were speaking about it, I thought to myself, do you know what would actually be a really film, right? That is clear about Bitcoin, but really, if you're watching it, has nothing to do with Bitcoin until you put the two pieces together. And you could probably get some Hollywood actors as well, proper known actors. And if you paid for it all with, then that would be the icing on the cake, sorry, right? So what would be really cool is The Creature from Jekyll Island as a film. The Creature from Jekyll Island. Yeah.
All right. But as a Bitcoin, right?
As a film that is paid for entirely with Bitcoin, right? Yeah. With a few, maybe even just one big Hollywood actor in it playing a main role. because it would literally talk about the start of the current monetary fiat system, yeah, and it would have the whole explanation of what happened with the meeting of Jekyll Island, right? And that alone is very, you know, even last night I was speaking to people and I explained to them what that book was about, and their minds were completely blown that this is like not, it's not a made up story, is that it's just classified information, right? So doing a film, I think that there, and again, if you're watching this, get in touch with Tomek, get in touch with me if you do decide to do it, because I do want to be up, right? But if you, the Creature from Jekyll Island is like one of the most eye-opening books when it comes to money, right? That and as I said, you make that film without mentioning Bitcoin once, right? But people who know or understand Bitcoin or find out Bitcoin after watching them, right, would easily put the dots together, like very, very quickly, right? So, but yeah,
that's a cool idea. I heard few of such suggestions what we could do, what somebody, let's please somebody do a film, but didn't hear this one. It's a good one.
Yeah, like, because if you about it, like, look, enough, again, without giving away too much, the story of the Titanic is linked to that story, right? Yeah, and the story of the Titanic is a really big story. You know, the Titanic quite a few times, right? Like, even though we know that Leo DiCaprio one is the big one, right? But they've redone the story a few times, and we see this, right? And that we get these movies that talk about they often kind of try to propagandize, as you said at the beginning, historical context, right? Yeah, when they make these films that are like historical dramas, right? But if you were to do this about Jekyll Island, literally lift the story from the book, like almost word for word, and it would be such a compelling movie, right? Yeah, that people would walk out not even believing that it's true. They would think that it's a fantasy, right? Yeah, but it's not, right? So
Nat, you should write it down. You should make a screenplay.
Bro. I did the screenwriting. I got a diploma and did it back in the day, you know. So I could.
Man, this is like when we are sometimes like surveying filmmakers or people from the industry, what is needed for Bitcoin cinema to thrive and to grow and to catch on. The most often, next to funds, financial, but it's always like with any question you would ask, I need money, I need the money. And the second is we need stories. We need good screenplays, and we have talented, cameramen, directors, maybe even fundraisers for a film and actors. But it has to start with a good story, good plot. And if you have a diploma and you have some spare time, bro, just write it down. I will help you chill it down.
We'll throw it up on Geyser and get some. And I think if we threw it on there, everybody would be all in. It's like, hey, yeah, we would have definitely seen this film, right? You know. And again, it's because the time, I think in my head as well, dramas like the time period, of the Titanic, those kind of really early 1900s style movies, right? They having these actors in it like the Tom Hardy or the Leonardo DiCaprio, they play those roles so well of those people that and this would be really, really good because it's got like John Jacob Astor in it. It's got it would have like the JP Morgan. It'd have all of the people, yeah, that have become notorious like finance magnates or government magnates and story of the Fed, right? So who doesn't want to see that film, right? Yeah. So
good idea.
So yeah. So. All right, cool. Well, I've got it noted there, and maybe it's something that we could talk about in the background and get. I haven't written any screenplay stuff at the time. I found the folder a couple of weeks ago, opened it, and I was looking at some of the draft work that I was doing when I was learning, and yeah, I mean, I could possibly get back to doing something like that. But
come to our film festival. We have always a stage and specific very good time slot in the cinema for pitches and for movie ideas. We had last year 5 ideas, and there is a competition with the rewards, which film you would like to see the most, and audience is voting with Geyser actually. So come over last weekend of April, bitcoinfilmfest.com, and very soon we will put up the registration and all the info about the festival.
Yeah. I'm gonna note that one down. Definitely. This already feels like it was meant to happen, this conversation. Okay, so moving on from the movie. I mean, for those of you who are watching, obviously it's called the Sovereign Music Podcast. You mentioned as well at the beginning that you're also a DJ. So maybe back into some of your history in DJing, and maybe some of the challenges that you faced in the traditional music industry, DJ, you are relevant to what you do now. You know, how you could, you know, use Bitcoin. I mean, I've onboarded a few DJs, and I'm telling them about, you know, that stream and stuff like that. So
No, I mean, I'm more a wannabe DJ. You know, we don't have to go there yet. I just started this year. I played on Bitcoin after parties at the Bitcoin conferences. We even streamed on Nost and YouTube the Baltic Honey Badger after party at Nostriga. And I played some Bitcoin meetups in Poland, but not ready to talk about it yet. You know, probably most of your audience have more experience than I do, but also at some point we can also chat about it, so I can get some tips. You know, how to step up my game.
The thing is, right, as you just mentioned, and as well, shout out to also 2140 WTF, yeah, right. So, you know, and those guys put on the Culture Festival, Bitcoin Culture Festival in the UK last week, and I know those guys, you know, were also, you know, at the Baltic Hydra and the other events that were streamed, you know. So even just talking about what you guys did there with Zapstream is still pretty cool. Right? So for those again who don't know, one of the protocols built around Bitcoin, Nostar, you know, it enables you to build that, enables you to like build social networks and connect with people, right, using the Lightning Network. And then you can also receive things like tips over the Lightning Network, which you've heard me speak about in previous episodes. And I mean, we'll go into that a bit more with how Alby works with that in a second. But Zapstream is a platform that allows you, it's pretty similar to Twitch, but instead of, you know, getting emojis and Twitch coins, right? You know, that you receive are all in Bitcoin, and they go directly to you. So it's not you know, Twitch taking a cut and then PayPal taking a, and then telling you that you can withdraw it in the next 10 days. You know, it is pretty much in your wallet as soon as it's you. So yeah, I've been encouraging some of the DJs that I know to start to use Zapstream to do their live stream at the same time that they do talk or wherever, you know, at the same time, right? You can use OBS, you can link into like multiple restream OBS and link into multiple applications at the same time. And do a DJ set, and if you want to earn TikTok coin at the same time, fine, you know. But definitely incorporate that stream, I think, with DJs to start to easily discover this technology and how you know. I think once it's into more of a usage on Zapstream, then there'll be maybe career building types of money that people may be able to earn, right, from doing this stream.
You know, Nostr is delivering what internet has promised us years ago, but was captured by big companies and holding the payment infrastructure by banks, making actually micropayments unavailable for most of the use cases. And even if they are either like channeled with some big companies or censorable, or you need to sell your data with credit cards. There is no actual service for pooling micropayments through the internet, and Nostr is very nicely tying the exchange of information with exchange of value, meaning that you can directly, I don't know, stream song, music, video, text, and send payment to your customer, maybe if it's an advertisement and it happens in podcasting, or maybe stream value from consumers. So whoever is watching you, he has to, there is this nice platform called Indie Hub that you stream sats directly per every second watched of a video of, I don't know, film or your DJ stream or some music clip from your wallet to the wallet of artist, making Netflix looking like, you know, from the past century. You don't have to sell your credit card data and pay subscription fee if you want to watch things just one time. There is no more pay-per-view in the I mean, it is actual pay-per-view because you pay per second and it goes directly to the to the creator, and maybe it can be automatically split to the venue owner, to your producer, or maybe some actors involved. So it has so many use cases that are not yet explored because Nostr is super young, and these protocols that let these micropayments go hand in hand with video streaming or audio streaming still very young. But we can only imagine what can. I mean, we were imagining it. I was imagining it 20 years ago when I was dreaming. Okay, what revolution is internet bringing? It didn't bring it, but now I have hope that Nostr does it. So I don't know, for DJing use cases. I'm playing, for example, in 2 days, I'm playing small set in Warsaw, and we are using this platform, Ask the DJ, where your audience can ask for, you know, do a music request for you. Live, I have a rule that, okay, if you want to come over to my deck and you want to like ask, hey bro, can you play Florida or something, you better not come without a drink for me, right? Or something else. Now with this Ask the DJ or with Nostr, I don't know how it is on Twitch. You can maybe set up. I mean, for sure you can, but I'm not sure if there are already existing platforms for that. You can send small tip to DJ for a music request, or just send tip as appreciation for his work, because that's what it is about. Maybe instead of, I would rather, and that's what I often do, instead of watching ads on YouTube, I'd rather watch it on Zapstream, watch this thing on Zapstream or Tunstr or Wavlake, right? There are these platforms that allow that are already built for this artist and audience interaction, just as an appreciation. We call it value for value, right? This guy over there over the ocean, or maybe in front of me, is giving me something, right? He is giving colors to my time and to sounds around me. Why wouldn't I appreciate him with this 5 cents, right? Instead of wasting my time on watching some ads or being forced to pay him in another indirect money. Because after all, there is, like, if it's not a charity, after all, somehow the audience is paying for the art created. But on the way, there can be, I don't know, Universal Studio or Visa, MasterCard. There can be many gatekeepers who are taking their cut. And after all, even if you have, I don't know, million views on Spotify, you're getting only a few cents. But with Bitcoin, not only with Nostr, but with this digital revolution that Bitcoin and Nostr are bringing, this way between you and artist is much shorter and much more direct. I believe this eventually will influence also the relationship between artists and audience and their fans, and also will influence the quality of the stuff that is being produced. Because if today most of the digital content is monetized with ads or with some old structured gatekept monetization business models, like some subscriptions or paper, not watching ads, it influences clickbites. It incentivizes bringing to the lower denominator the quality of the content, because you have to monetize it with a view, not with an appreciation of the audience. So when you have value for value model, you as an artist are incentivized to create something directly for your consumers, guests, fans, and you as a fan also, you are looking for places where actually there is no clickbait that tells you, oh, come here and then watch this for free, but you eventually look for this art that you can appreciate. So it's still very unexplored space. It's still yet to be discovered what this can bring, but I'm sure that there is a relationship between monetization model and the quality of art, and it's the value for value can only make both of them positive.
A really, really good explanation of it for people who can't get their head around it, because you speak to a lot of the and when I speak to people that have published channels, they're like, well, you know, like I get paid anyway and I can monetize anyway, you know, kind of thing, right? But it's about showing them that, you know, you are removing the gatekeeper, you are removing the actual barrier in yourself, and oh yeah, we had a little bit of a misstep there. Yeah. So you're removing, like, you know, the actual barrier between, you know, just as you said, the connection, right? So and then people, as I said, are more likely to support what resonates with them. So you still have like a space or place for everything, right? However, right, you know, it's what people support and what they don't, right? Rather than people just, as you said, supporting a kind of all-around platform, and then that platform deciding what it wants to pay people. Yeah, right. You know, so the artist sets their rate, and that's like super duper important. So so to go a little bit deeper into things, right? With Alby, let's specifically kind of like focus, before we go into Alby like deeply, let's specifically focus on Wavelake as a platform, right? Because that is the platform that, as I said, with 2140 Music, with Sovereign Music, we tend to kind of say to people, hey, here's an easy way to be able to discover how this stuff works, right? And Alby is definitely one of the most compatible services to work with Wavelake. So so what would I say? What can I ask? I'd say over this this time period, yeah, like you guys have obviously worked pretty closely with the guys at Wavelake to be able to help artists to understand, you know, like what Alby actually is. So in your words, what does Alby mean to an artist? If they're gonna, let's say I introduce an artist to Wavelake today, they sign up using their email, yeah, and they decide that they're going to now put up some music. Where would Alby come in for them, and what
well, as I said,
Alby
there is many things that are invisible to the end user, because however you would use Bitcoin Lightning over the web, you might not be aware, but there might be very often Alby product behind there. So there are like we partner with RSS, for example, to introduce this value tag to their podcasting specification of XML files that specifies how users of well, RSS feed, it can be text feed, but podcasts also are distributed this way. How can be appreciated? Now it's possible with Bitcoin. So there is many, we call them podcasting 2.0 platforms, or musicasting 2.0, some of them call it, that thanks to Alby and partnership with RSS, make it possible to directly stream payments for a sound file. It can be two ways. So you can pay for the content being listened, but also you can get paid for the advertisement. But also what is visible? Well, provide, and that's probably our strongest product. We provide the most connectable, the easiest to connect Lightning wallet.
Maybe.
What?
Yeah. Maybe most interoperable wallet. Yeah.
Interoperable, yes, and also it's such Lightning wallet that is you can connect your podcasting podcasting app, you can connect your browser extension, you can connect your Raspberry Pi mobile phone, right? So there is Alby is not alone in this space, right? There is like lots of companies, projects that also build on open source, so we all reuse our libraries, we build on top of each other, and this ecosystem is created by multiple agents. But Alby for podcasters probably today is really the best wallet to use. As much as I would like to brag about it, I hope that it will not be the case, and we are paving the way and also advocating for use of open protocols. So you can be a user of Spotify, let's say, right? And you can use Spotify API to get some information, maybe in the future also to process micropayments to the artists. I don't know. I hope that also the legacy internet will change in this direction. But we advocate for use of open protocols, which many of them, like Nostr Wallet Connect, were created by Alby, but they are not owned by Alby. They are not gatekept, but they enable multiple companies from various space, whether it's video, audio, Bitcoin, to use the same language to communicate with each other. So today it's maybe not very prevalent, and the regular user cannot appreciate that because there is not that many use cases. But in the future we will notice, and also today we can notice with the internet, the fact that the one service, I don't know, your Gmail can connect with your phone, right? There is like so many different protocols that are being used on the way, that I don't know, even a protocol for the touch screen that it operates with this app of Gmail. There was somebody 10-15 years ago who developed this language for software to talk with each other, and now, without being aware, so this is like, I don't know, some kind of invisible work, we are benefiting from that. So Alby is also is kind of imagining this world of the future where Bitcoin is a native currency to the internet, and so we are building already these payment rails that the future trains can ride through.
Yeah. And again, like you said, it's multiple levels of not only infrastructure but also front end interface, right? For the user to directly to interact with. It's great to build the infrastructure, but as you said, you still need people to interact with the protocols, right?
Yeah.
And as I've said before, in the Twitter spaces as well, I've found that Alby is pretty easy to use for a first timer. I've onboarded first timers who use an Alby. They find it pretty easy to set up. They find it pretty easy to understand. And once they're set up, they may call me back every now and they ask this, hey, like, what's your NPub? Like stuff like this, right? But they don't find it abnormal to how they use other technologies or even other wallets, right? Because for a long time, obviously, up until probably the last bull run, wallets were notoriously like clunky and really bad to use, right? Like UIs for wallets have been bad for many years up until the last bull run is actually the time when like 2020, 2021 wallet companies started to realize we need to actually have like a better UI, right? And make it much more simpler for average people to use. So again, don't want to mention any other wallets because this is about Alby here today. But over time, like all of the wallet providers have had to start stepping up their game. And I think that Alby hit the ground running because its interface was. I don't get me wrong. Yes, I know the early Alby was a little bit more complicated because you had to be in the space to understand what you were even doing, right? But in a short period of time, Alby has gone from that to being as I said, like probably the best UI, I would say, all around for using a Lightning network, right? So
Yeah, but that's also why I'm not super big on calling this very simple and easy, especially for newcomers who didn't touch Bitcoin Lightning before. I wouldn't like to overpromise with this easiness, right? But as you say, compared to 2 years ago, it's so much easier, so much simpler. Today, still, to get yourself a running Lightning node, to connect to multiple apps, to install certain things, to tell on your node or on your front end what's your Lightning address, it's still not effortless, right? It requires some type of research. So it has some hurdles. People will encounter maybe some bugs, maybe some things which are not yet very well explained in tutorials or guides, right? But we are not Alby, but you guys who will be using it today, you are still pioneers in this space. It's still a wild west in Bitcoin. It's like the internet was in early 90s. Also, to send email, it was a bit more difficult than it is today, right? You maybe had to set up your own SMTP server. You had to operate on terminal and install one client for your SMTP, and then another app for using it on your device. I don't know. I was maybe too young then, but I can see that today it's still maybe similar thing with Bitcoin Lightning. While when I want to send email, right, on my phone, I can touch on my phone. It uses a computer somewhere in the cloud, right, which I'm not even aware of, but with one click I can send email. It's already starting to happen with Bitcoin Lightning, but let's not overpromise that it's super easy, because then you can maybe be a bit disappointed that, oh, they told me it's easy. If you are already here, be excited that you are a pioneer, right? And be ready, because in year or 2 or 3, those other companies in the space, wallets, podcasting apps, developers of protocols will make things even more interoperable and intuitive. But maybe then it will be, you will be not that early for this train. So try to experiment a bit, and I hope there will be benefits for being early adopters of this.
Definitely, and that, with that being said, that kind of brings us around to closing. But what I would say, with that being said, is, can I ask you to give to the audience watching, for anyone who is just first time now discovering Bitcoin, maybe watching this, or someone who knows a little bit about Bitcoin, but they're just experiencing stuff for the first time and using stuff for the first time, what piece of knowledge can you pass on? I don't like to say advice, but what piece of knowledge could you pass on to that person that may be able to help them in their discovery, in their mission? And it doesn't have to be about Alby or anything. It could just be just personally how you feel around their discovery path that may help them.
I would, whenever I try to give some rule of thumb advice for newcomers to Bitcoin, and I'm not talking specifically about Lightning on the web and how it can be used for artists, right? Because it's a whole niche within a niche. But in general, I tend to say that you guys should use open source software, and especially maybe not so much could be the case for artists on Lightning and this music casting 2.0 whole value for value model, but also it could be because it enforces this future interoperability, not being closed within APIs of some one company that will lock you in and will create you customer of this one company, not of the whole movement. But also when you think of Bitcoin as a vehicle for your savings, maybe for some for your investment, you gotta be careful. And if it's a very it's a software after all, that if it touches your, in some cases maybe lifetime savings, in some cases maybe not so much, but still some finances of yours, frozen time of your labor, beware, because there is still lots of scams. I don't like to use that word, or maybe scams that will only be revealed in the future, right? If you don't use open source, you are basically trusting this one company, whatever its motives might be, and maybe one day you will, unfortunately, you could discover along with the thousands of your other users that apparently the keys to my wealth that were supposed to be secure were not so secure, and they were sent over and stored on some servers, and somebody could steal maybe your data or your funds, right? So using open source software, you at least you trust not this one company, but the whole community of developers, that developers and contributors and whole movement, that what happens with your code, with your data, has been proof checked, and also you strengthen the movement of decentralization. And I wish this is what we all strive for and aim within finances, but also within art and distribution of art, right? We don't like gatekeepers. We don't like Sotheby or whatever is there in London to be a gatekeeper to art and curate what people can watch and how much is it worth. But the more stuff in the world is decentralized, and the more democratized is the access to stuff, the more open it will be, and eventually better and more safe for all of us. So the rule of thumb: use open source software.
Cool. That's a really good one. I haven't had that one so far, even on the other Twitter Spaces and stuff that we've done. Like, you know, like I think only one or two maybe people may have even touched along that, and that's a really good notion to start with. So just to wrap up, could you give the people also how they can connect with you, and how they can find Alby, or find out more about Alby? Where can they go to find you or connect with the team?
Actually, you have open source here, and here decentralize what you can. You can find Alby at getalby.com, and back there you will find links to our community Discord server, to our Twitter. We are very open. You can always DM us on Twitter or Nost or on emails. We are very responsive. I myself go with it's Tomek K, so ITSTOMEKK, double K at the end, and it's on Twitter, Telegram, wherever you want to find me. I'm also responsive, so if you guys have questions about Lightning, about Bitcoin, about value for value, hit me, hit Alby up, and we are happy to help you guys navigate through this Wild West.
Yeah, definitely. All right, Tomek, listen, thank you again for your time, and we'll definitely catch up, because there's so much ideas here constantly, and I know everybody in the Orange Pill space is always constantly meeting up and collaborating in ways going forward. So thank you so much for your time today, and people definitely go and check out Alby and connect with Tomek if you need to.
Thank you for the invitation, and thank you everyone who have listened up to that moment. Take care, stay safe, healthy. Cheers.